Here we are. We are live. Welcome back, Button Club members, to another episode of the Safe Sets podcast. I am one of your hosts, Shadow Fury, and with me, as always, is
Ricky Icebeam.
How you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing excellent. How are you?
I am awesome. What a week. So much to talk about this week. Are you bursting at the seams with FGC information?
I am. I feel like leading up to, this, it wasn't that it was dry, it was that we were trying to figure out or choose what to talk about. This week, we know exactly what we're talking about. And we're talking about Terry and the new update that came with Terry.
100%. So hopefully you guys are enjoying the new Terry update. But if at any time you are enjoying this podcast, do all the things like, comment, subscribe, and share with like-minded individuals. So before we get into the nitty gritty of this patch, what's your general overall feeling?
So I am relieved because I was concerned that every time there's a new DLC character, they come out way too overtuned and they're broken. They make the game not fun. And everyone's on Twitter complaining about it. Terry didn't do that this time, and I'm glad. I think Terry's a good character, a strong character, but didn't shake up the meta the way that Akuma and Bison did when they released.
I would have to agree. Did you get to try him at all? You get your hands on him?
I didn't get my hands on him. I played against a few Terrys online, and I watched Punk play Terry, and I watched some other videos as well. So I have a good idea of it, but I haven't actually gotten my hands on him myself.
I've played very little of Terry. After last week's Button Club, we finished coming back home and setting everything back up, and it wasn't for long that Terry was released, because I thought he was going to release at 3 a.m.
And when did he release?
I was already playing him, I feel like, by 1 a.m. or something.
Oh, you know what I think happens is I think when they shut the servers down for the update, you can play them offline.
That's what it is.
Yeah, and then when the servers come back up, which might have been 3 a.m. or whatever time.
That's when you can play him online. You can play him while it's doing its thing, but then to play him online, okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
I wouldn't know I was sleeping, but...
yeah. No, not me. I was like, okay, how late am I going to be up playing this? So I played him for about an hour before I went to bed.
And how'd you like him?
So... everything's a slower burn for me, I feel like, with characters. It's such a big, abrupt change from what I'm used to, even though it's very Shoto-esque and things like that.
Right, and there's a lot of mechanics in this game that are similar. You still get your drive rush. If you have certain tools like crouch and kick and a drive rush, it's kind of the same with everybody.
Yeah. But I felt like his combo paths were very, very unique, and I got almost through all of his combo trials, but they felt so wrong and clunky.
Unintuitive.
Yeah. So I didn't. There's lessons in all those, counter hit on this leads to that, so then you can build your own. So I was trying to get what I could from the combo tutorials, but it just really wasn't touching me too much. So I'm kind of meh.
Yeah, and that's fair. And sometimes it's tough with combo tutorials because. Even if you go back and play the combo tutorials for your main character, half of them you're like, why would I ever do this combo? It's 10 times harder and does less damage.
It's so weird. And I don't know if they skew the damage in that mode, because sometimes the combo, does the combo damage not finish because you've completed the challenge? Because sometimes I do them and I'm like, that's all I got for that? That seems so wrong.
Right, and I think you're exactly right. I think once you do the last input, it stops recording damage.
Yeah. So then you look at it and you're like, wait, that was so hard. That's all it did? This kind of sucks. So, and then since he came out on my birthday, Aeto came by the house with Steamy Squid, and we were messing around with it. We even made a stream for an hour or two. Just going through practice mode, and then we did a first to 5 Aeto versus myself. So since we both are good at fighting games, but we have different enthusiasms when it comes to Street Fighter, but it just felt so weird. So I don't know if it's weird because of him or if it's weird because it's me, because it's just unorthodox how to play him.
I also wonder if for you in particular, if it feels weird because he's so similar to Ken, but he's not Ken.
Okay, so maybe that's it. There were things that felt like, oh yeah, I'm doing things. There were other parts where I was like, oh, this feels a little odd. I've heard people say that he feels as good as any Shoto. He feels like Ryu. He's just good, but he doesn't have a lot of the weird setup stuff or whatever.
Yeah, I think the tough thing for Terry right now is Ken is so strong, and they just released a patch that I think most players were expecting some adjustments to Ken, a few small nerfs.
I know you crazy.
Were. Well, here's the thing.
I was in training mode, crouching medium kick, yes!
Yeah, it's still 7 frames. No, but I think a lot of people kind of agree, like, okay, Ken's really good right now. We wouldn't be surprised if he got touched, and he did not get touched at all.
No. His name on this patch list is actually
grayed out.
Yeah.
So he's perfect.
Let's go, chat. We got Steamy Squid. Terry's a great time, but definitely not main worthy for me. Yeah, and if you're on Akuma, I don't blame you. We got DiGiorno. What up, fellas? In my opinion, Terry is more Ryu than Ryu. Wow, I come into Ken slander.
I was what's the word? Saying good things about Ken. He's a good character. He's so strong.
He's so solid.
So easy to play.
And by easy, he means fun. It's easy to enjoy yourself and have a good time, right?
Yeah, but that in particular, actually, I think seeing Terry's combo routes, and you compare it to other shotos like Ryu and Ken, you're like, oh, these other characters' combo routes are way simplified and do about the same amount of damage, where Terry has to do like a special move into a light button into another special move.
Yeah.
Where Ryu's just like stand fierce, heavy DP.
Yeah. I saw someone else on Twitter say that they were having a hard time with him in neutral, even though like standing and crouching medium kick are such good buttons, even standing roundhouse. They were like, you actually can't play neutral with this character with buttons. You have to play neutral with this character with specials.
Yep.
So you're trying to get that shoulder tackle in. You're trying to do the crack shoot. You're trying to throw your own fireballs and everything else. So I found that interesting.
That's interesting too, because there's characters, not so much in Street Fighter 6, but in Street Fighter 5, where you basically, you didn't have to use their normals unless you were doing a combo. You could just like throw special moves out, right? Like I'm thinking of characters like Urian, for example, where he's just like, fireball,
shoulder tackle,
dive kick,
diving knee. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Why walk, dash, or jump when you can just special move in?
Hell yeah! I think the only
I guess DJ is like one of the characters in this game that's like that.
Yeah, that's true, huh? Because even like his good jumping is still a flash kick input, right? With the knee.
The flash kick into knee.
Yeah, that's interesting, and I hadn't thought about that with the other characters.
Yeah, so I wonder if players are seeing that with Terry and liking it, mean like, oh, I was playing DJ and now I'm also going to play Terry because I don't like to walk or dash or jump. I like to throw out special moves in neutral and catch my opponent off guard.
Interesting. So you didn't get around to playing him, or you just kind of like, I don't really...
It was a little bit of both. I think I've played since I came home Monday night. Obviously didn't play Monday night. I think I've probably played like 6 hours or so of Street Fighter this week. And just never felt inclined to stop what I was doing and spend my rental ticket on Terry. But I am going to probably this week, maybe this weekend. But yeah, I expect I'll play, because the rental ticket gives you the character due for about an hour, and so I'll probably do it like 1 or 2 rental tickets, and like that's probably it, like just enough to like understand how he works and get a feel for him, and then like similar to the other Shoto-esque characters, like I main Luke, and there's no reason for me to pick up Ryu or Ken or Akuma, and in this case it's Terry, right? Like I'm not in the I'm not in a position to want to drop Luke right now.
What do we got? The biggest Iggy. Yeah, he's kind of whatever. He's Terry. That's about it. Think the only interesting thing about him is the fireball that goes under other fireballs. Okay, interesting.
Yeah, that's true too, because I think the only other character that has that in this game is Juri.
Yeah,
but she has to charge hers up, so she can't just kind of
do it for free.
Well, not only can she not do it for free, but she can't do it continuously. She can't do it like 3 times in a row.
Yeah, and hers doesn't go far either to compensate. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's true.
That's awesome. Well, thanks for hanging out. The biggest Iggy. We appreciate you guys. We got 8 people in the chat. Thanks so much for hanging out. What do you guys think of Terry? Anyone else watching that hasn't, put in their 2 cents? Let us know. It's the topic for right now.
Yeah, I'm curious. Is there anybody who's choosing to main Terry? I haven't really heard that. Going around.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of might have told people I was going to do that, but I think that's like been the thing lately, because someone else was like, wait, are you really going to switch? And I was like, no, I think I'm really going to do it this time, because I just kind of was thinking, I felt like he was going to be strong. He's going to be playing Season 2 really good. He would be like Ken, but now I'm just kind of like, I don't think I need to like put in that work into that,
Yeah, and for not knowing Terry inside and out, I haven't played him myself, but just looking at him, it's like he feels similar to both Ken and Guile. But it's like, well, why do I want to play half and half when you can literally play Ken and Guile?
Yeah. So yeah, I'm just not sure. And I think like obviously there's a lot of cool combo videos going on throughout Twitter.
Yep.
And everything else and big damage and the combo paths have been more or less solidified now in the last few days. But even then I'm just kind of like, yeah, I don't know. Sometimes there's that feeling like, oh, I just want to do that big combo. There's that, that satisfaction from, but just looking at them, they look cool, but I did not, no part of them made me want to go, all right, that's the challenge of the day. I'm going to learn this. So
yeah, it really gives me the feeling of like, he can be as good as Ken, but you have to work harder.
Yeah, maybe a little bit, or just like work in a way that you're just not used to working. And I don't, it's weird. And honestly, in my spare time outside of some stuff with Ken, I've been playing a little bit of Akuma and M Bison.
Okay.
And I think I just gel so much better with M Bison.
Yep.
He just feels easier to pick up.
Which is probably true.
which is probably true. But I'm also obviously like attracted to keeping a Shoto and seeing what Akuma is. These aren't like really tournament characters. They're just more like I want to play them. I want to have some fun. I want to introduce a little more like fun into my time playing the game. So
yeah, and it's smart to do that. I did that for a while in Street Fighter V, and what I found was like certain tools with certain characters were so powerful that I like leaned on them. And then when I went back to my main character, I was using a similar tool more often than I had been before. Mm-hmm. Like the biggest one was like Colleen Stand Heavy Punch. It's so good.
Yeah.
And then I'm back playing Guile and I'm like whiff punishing with Stand Heavy Punch. It's like, who am I? Guile doesn't do this.
No, it's true. I was doing it today. I played Akuma for a while, and then when I went back to Ken, he felt so different. And then there was a couple of things that I was bringing back that I learned from Akuma. I was like, oh, and it was working so well that's really... it's just exciting to want to be like, ooh, let me learn more into that. And I think that's kind of where I'm at right now with my interest in the game. I obviously still want to be as solid of a competitor as I can be week to week and everything else. But yeah, I want to start experimenting.
Nice.
We got Bono in the chat. What's going on? Hello, guys. You haven't bought it yet? Oh, the new character?
Yeah.
But he looks cool. Yeah, man.
Yeah, if you have the rental tickets, use those first before you spend your cash.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, if you're not sold on this season, especially. Biggest Iggy, that happened with me in 5. I saw Valle beat Knuckle Do with Rainbow Ball, and I got sold.
Nice.
Yeah, nice. There you go. So yeah, so we'll just see. We'll just play around with that. Anything else you want to mention about Terry and how he's feeling so far?
I mean, I don't think we know enough yet, right? He's only been out for a couple of days. I watched Punk play as him, and he looked really strong, but Punk is, in my opinion, the best Street Fighter player we have. Mm-hmm. So he's going to make every character look really easy, and it's, always amazes me how quickly he can learn a character.
Yes.
Like, he got to 2,000 MR in, like, 24 hours, and when I was watching him play, it was like he knew every combo route. Like, he was confirming the certain counter hit on certain normals into the correct like this only works on counter hit, it doesn't work on regular hit, or this only works with punish counter but not with counter hit, and like he had it all,
the nuances. He knew it already.
And I mean, when I get to that point with a character, it's like weeks and weeks of practice. Mm-hmm. And with Punk it's like 24 hours he got it.
Well, it's funny that you say that because my brother comes over at one point throughout the week. I think Terry had just been out for maybe 24 hours, so this must have been Wednesday. Right? Because he came, Tuesday was my birthday. Yeah, so this is Wednesday. So he comes by and he's already kind of like, what the hell, man? Like, how come people have already got this character to master, to legend rank? He's like, it took me weeks to get to where I'm at in MR. And people are just like, who are these people? And, he's obviously still very new to competitive gaming, so he just doesn't realize, like, he might not even know that this is a professional, but he just sees a name that he hasn't really heard yet. He's like, so who is this guy that did this? And whatever. So he just couldn't believe how fast people come and go, Kevin, you got people out there that have been Terry mains before. Yep. This is your first Street Fighter. This is someone's third Street Fighter, at least, And there's so many other variables that go in, or this is their first Street Fighter, but they've been playing for the last 10 years at a competitive level.
Right, not only that, but the week that a DLC character comes out, a bunch of people are using the character in ranked, and there's a bunch of free wins to be had.
Of course.
So if I decided, I didn't play any ranked this week, but if I did, I would have probably gotten a bunch of free points off of Terry mains or people playing Terry in ranked who don't have him down as well as Punk does.
Exactly.
Boost up my Luke a little bit.
Or the like to basically be like, this character's brand new. I know this, that. You don't know anything about this yet. You have no matchup experience. So here, learn right now on the fly what this setup is, what this mix-up is. So that's of course a big part of it and why people can climb so well. But he just didn't understand, and it was comical. I don't want to like laugh, but it was funny how mad he got about it. I'm still waiting on my hitbox to come, so I got a good excuse to try him. Nice, excellent. Did you order it through Hitbox? Did you order it through Amazon? And then the biggest Iggy, I think with Terry especially, he's such a Shoto, you can rely on legacy skill a lot. Yeah, that's also true too. Yeah,
that's a really good point. Like if you are good at Street Fighter 6 and you're good at dealing with Street Fighter 6 mechanics, then you can grab a character like Terry and be like, I'm just going to fireball an uppercut, and I'm going to get to like 1800 MR just being solid.
Yeah. You cannot compare the journey of picking up Terry at this stage of the game than picking up Ryu day one of Street Fighter 6 or even earlier. So.
Right, or even a character that's like very unique. Like if, for example, JP were to have released today, it would have taken people weeks to like figure out how to use him.
Oh, yeah.
Even though he's like a strong character, has lots of potential. It's like, well, Terry's essentially a Shoto. So if you release a Shoto, after the first year a game's been out, it's going to be easy to pick up.
Yeah, of course. And without having anything like the drawbacks that Akuma has. He doesn't have the 9,000 health or whatever. So I think there's a seesaw of, is he strong? Is he not? Yeah, he is. No, he's not. But with Terry, it just seems kind of like, well, he's just, it must be kind of perfect, right? Just right in the middle of the road.
Yeah. I mean, there's no way in my mind he's less than mid-tier. Right, he has all the tools. He's good.
Yeah, 100%. Because where's Ryu on our tier list?
Right, like above halfway, right?
Yeah, so I mean, he's got to be around there.
Yeah, I would say so.
So
no,
at least
until we find out more, it's safe to assume it's like he's at least as good as Ryu.
And again, like you said, it's only been a few days. We could be eating these words by next week, because I remember a similar thing. Because my first time is everyone talking about Akuma in Street Fighter V.
Yep.
Oh, he's stubby. He's not so good. Blah blah blah. And then I think he won Evo that year, right?
Yeah.
Well, let me just handle this real quick because my dog will never stop licking. Can you come here, babies? Come here. Oh yeah. Keep the chat occupied in the meantime.
Sure. Yeah. So Akuma in Street Fighter V might have been a little bit of a different story, because if I remember correctly, I think Akuma released with even less health in Street Fighter V. I think he had like 850. If I remember, and then I think they buffed him up to 900, and I think that was when Takedo won Evo over Punk. But I'd have to double check that. I don't remember exactly, but I remember that there were some changes. +1 on block, low forward, and red fireball activate. So was that with Akuma? Because I remember Akuma's crouch medium kick was. Yeah, so the crouch medium kick itself was negative, but maybe it was +1 when you canceled into red fireball. I just remember you could cancel fireball into V-trigger in neutral with Akuma, and that was like so broken. And he had it for like a really long time. It took him like, I forget what season they actually finally fixed that.
What was it? Knee to fireball? Red fireball, is that what you're saying?
No, I was saying with fireball into V-trigger in neutral.
Oh, yeah.
Because he had that for such a long time, and it was like so broken.
What else did I miss? Where was that one?
Oh, because Iggy was talking about crouch medium kick being +1 on block. I don't remember if the crouch medium kick was +1 on when it first came out. I just know that it's like negative now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just remember, to this day, his crouch heavy punch is +3 on block and a crush counter, and it puts you at a
safe space.
Yeah. It puts
trauma.
Trauma.
Yeah.
No, it puts you in a position where it's awkward, and there's like, do I press a button and he blocks it, or do I hesitate and then he gets a free turn? But luckily, Akuma's not like that in this game. He just has a really, really strong heavy fireball.
He's fun. He's been a lot of fun. I play him so differently than Ken.
Because every touch kills you. You have 1 health, so...
And,
you have to play very cautiously, very patiently. You have to react to absolutely everything.
So I kind of like the patient and cautious because... All right, I feel like I'm playing Guile with a Dragon Punch input DP. I get to throw, like, great fireballs. I can pay for it big time if I misspace it. And then, like, I dictate the pace of the match a whole lot better. Whereas Ken, I'm like... I feel like sports car. I want to go.
Yeah, and that's a good point. Like Akuma, at least in neutral, is more of a Shoto. He's more like, or more of a zoner, more like Sagat. Where Ken is more of like a brawler, which as is Luke, right? Like we can that's zone, true, but it's not our strong suit.
Yeah.
We want to punch you.
Release Abigail too. Get out of here.
No more Abigails.
No,
not
man.
With, I don't want Abigail drive impacting me from half.
Oh my god,
the range on that would be crazy.
There is this documentary I watched, like 3.5 hours long, about the development of Street Fighter V from start to finish. And the part where they get to Abigail is such a train wreck. And it's so entertaining to watch now because it's over. But I remember
don't have to deal with it anymore.
All that happening in the moment and everyone hating it and it being like the most disliked character and all that too. So
yeah,
Super Power Review. We were just talking about you and your frustration with certain players getting to the top so quickly. What are you talking about? We're going to talk about some Terry. Kevin, what do you think of Terry? You have Terry at the at your apartment. What do you think of him?
Yeah, you going to be dropping Ryu for Terry now?
Oh, no. No, actually, Kevin has no interest in anything else.
Just Ryu.
He's married to Ryu, 100%. Yeah.
And that's how I feel with Luke right now, too. It's like there's other characters I can play. Arguably, there's better characters I can play, but I'm feeling Luke.
Yeah? Who would be better?
Ken would be better.
Ken would be better?
Arguably Guile, if I put in a lot more time, Guile could be better.
Yeah, really?
And then Akuma is another possibility.
So,
but I don't have any real intentions of putting in that work with any of these characters. I'm just going to grind it out with Luke. Because I think there's a lot of potential in this character, and I think I would like to push myself to get to a skill level where I don't necessarily need all the tools that a character can possess in order for me to win. Like I would like to be so strong that I can win with Luke even if he's not top 3.
And does that contrast your philosophy in previous games? Do you feel like you were like, this is top tier, I want to do that?
No, I've joked about how I only play top tier, but I would never play a top tier character that I didn't like.
Yeah.
I've just been very fortunate that I have found characters that fit within my playstyle and are very strong in every Street Fighter game so far. And Luke's still really good. Like,
there's nothing wrong with that character.
No, yeah, he's not bad at all. It's and in a way, I don't know if anyone remembered me saying this during season 1. I was actually frustrated with how strong Luke was because I was like, there's games I should have lost, and Luke's been winning for me.
Yeah.
Right? There's so many games where I was getting outplayed, and then I get one straight crouch medium kick into drive rush into level 3, and it does like 60%, where now it does like 45% or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was just I robbed so many people in season 1 with Luke that now it's like, okay, now that the character is brought down to is more grounded,
more normalized.
It's like, okay, I win when I deserve to win, I lose when I deserve to lose, and now I have to level up.
Kevin says he's good at things but not great at one thing. Akuma is my secondary. He finds Ken odd. He really can't get his head around Ken. I want to love him, but I don't. And then Clint says, you're like Daigo, you play top-tier Shotos.
Yeah, or Guile.
Yeah, so like was Daigo a inspiration for you into picking Guile? Like what made you want to go Guile for Street Fighter V, and when did that happen?
So I first became a huge fan of playing as Guile. I think it was Canada Cup 2013, if I'm remembering correctly. It was when Daigo played Guile in tournament for the first time.
Oh, wow.
And I like fell in love. I was like, oh my god, he's playing so different than like Knuckle-Doo or anybody else is playing.
Yeah. Oh, that's so interesting.
But yeah, so that's exactly right. Like, no, I see what Daigo does and mostly copy him. So this is kind of like the first time where like I fell in love playing Luke and had nothing to do with Daigo.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
And then same thing, like Daigo's doubling down on playing Akuma, and I'm like, nah, not for me.
Yeah. That shows, doesn't that feel like some personal growth right there, right? Like,
or a huge mistake.
Or I'm totally screwing up over here.
I'm going 100 miles an hour the wrong direction.
Just never go dark and play Yun.
We won't talk about that.
Akuma is also mono secondary. That's interesting. Cammy Main, the Shoto killer, and then your backup is a Shoto. How interesting. I'll tell you one thing I dislike about Terry, and that's his main theme music. You're over it now. It's been played out.
I like it.
Yeah, it's whatever for me. Luke just plays 6 so well, it's crazy. I agree with that.
Yeah,
because he's designed for it, right?
Yeah, and it's funny that you say that, because like they put Luke in 5 after, at least from what I understand and believe, after Street Fighter 6 was postponed, and they needed one more season of Street Fighter 5. They essentially dragged Luke into Street Fighter 5. I don't think they did a very good job implementing him, and he was way too strong.
He was way too strong, and I think they were kind of like, look, we're going to put him out. Yes, this might mess up some tournament stuff, but whatever. Hopefully people are just playing this character so that they're warmed up for them for 6. It doesn't really matter. Like, the hype of Street Fighter 5 is, you know, it's in its darkest days now. So I think that was a good idea. But what they said is they had the character model for 6 ready to go. They had to de-age him for 5. They had to like go back and make him young, and
which is so funny because I'm sure most of the time they're like, oh, let's take like Street Fighter 4 Sagat and work him into Street Fighter 5, or take, you know, Street Fighter 5 Guile and work him into Street Fighter 6. This must have been the first time they had like a Street Fighter 6 character and had to work him backwards.
Retrograde him back.
Let's make his graphics worse. Take away his drive rush
and give him braces.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Can't play Terry. Brain dead. Not for me. Damn.
So he can't play Terry because Terry's not brain dead.
I understand.
He only plays brain dead characters.
And then Super High Review says his music is just noise to me. That's hilarious. John, is that why you play Bison? LOL. Yeah, Bison. See? Hey!
It's true, though. Bison and Maurice are both brain dead characters. Just do stuff in neutral, and you got to deal with it.
Damn.
And I'm not, like, picking on him. I'm sure he agrees.
He's like, I don't want to think.
What you think? I'm pressing buttons.
So yeah, I guess we'll have to let some Terry time marinate a little bit longer, see what, because I think once the character is attached to a pro name, and we can see what that does or where that will take them, I think that'll really stoke the fire of or for fans for Terry, more so than it's been beyond fan service, you know?
Right, or the opposite, right? You might have like 1 or 2 pro players really work hard with Terry for like a month or 2 and get no tournament results, and we say, okay, characters, you know, mid-tier.
It's tough because like even there was a point where, you know, you talk about doubling down and playing Akuma. Angry Bird is doing the same thing right now. He went from a point to being, Akuma was out, I think, for a month. He was like, no, I cannot play this character. This character's not tournament viable, too unstable. I'm all set. And then I think 2 weeks went by, and he was like, okay, I saw someone else play this character. I think it was Ryukishi, whatever. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to give it another try. I think I have to adapt differently. And I want to say even now, a week or so ago, I caught one of his streams like, I don't want to make fun of him because I'm not, but like mimicking his accent, you know, he's like, oh no, brother, like Akuma is top tier. He's the way to go. You cannot beat him in the corner. He's the best in the corner. Like, so I just thought it was great to be like, no, he's completely tournament, is not tournament viable too. I'm having so much fun. I can't believe I thought otherwise.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times the tier list is really guided by the pro players and their results. Like, all it would take is, you know, someone who's as strong as Punk to pick a mid-tier character and make everyone believe that they're not mid-tier anymore.
Right, like Shao Hai.
Right, or even like what I'm forgetting names at the moment. What Idom did with Laura, right? Everyone thought Laura sucked, and then, you know, essentially one of the strongest players in the entire world picks the character and really grinds with her, and like a year or 2 into the game, everyone's complaining about Laura and saying she needs nerfs. And so, you know, if you had a player of like Idom's caliber pick a character like Kimberly, which we all agree is a good character, but if they pick Kimberly and all of a sudden they're like winning every tournament, then all of a sudden Kimberly's S tier. And so it's really all, no, not all, but most of it is in our heads and in the community and how we communicate about these characters. You know, that depends on, you know, that determines where they land on the tier list.
Of course. And then, like, even did Akuma have any big winnings for his release, or even M. Bison? Like, I don't think M. Bison's won anything.
I don't think they've won anything, but I think they've gotten very, very far, and I think you've seen like pro players like go far with them very shortly after their release. And I think sometimes, like a character like Bison, you know, to come like top 3 in a tournament like 2 weeks after they release says a lot.
Of course, yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised if this ends up not being the case with Terry, not because he's weak for any reason, just, you know, he's not as strong as Bison and Akuma. At least that's the way it seems right now.
So does that set the bar, or is that kind of like hurt the fans to be Akuma doing so good, M. Bison no one wanted him back, and oh my god, he seems so strong and amazing. And then Terry shows up, and does it fall flat by comparison? Is that a thing?
It can. I think honestly, Capcom, and this is my opinion, I think Capcom realized they overtuned Akuma. They realized they overtuned him Bison. It was like, okay, let's not continue this and really start to piss people off.
And undertune.
And yeah, I think they undertuned this a little bit, or they were a little bit more cautious, or maybe just a little bit more like learned from their mistakes, and you know, essentially tuned him correctly.
Tuned him correctly?
No.
Question marks? Because I feel like if Akuma came out, let's say Akuma comes out and the reception is equals to Terry. Yeah, he's all right? Because it seesawed, right? So instead, let's say he's kind of mid, and then Bison comes out and oh my god, yeah, he's super strong. And then Terry comes out and he's super strong. That kind of feels like, I think a lot of people expected him to be strong, not just because he was DLC, but because he was a guest character.
Right.
And the first time him showing up, and the buzz that could kill for the character's popularity when he's not strong on release. You fell in love with Luke, you knew he was strong, and you're willing to ride it out. You like him, and you know he's strong, right?
Yep.
If the character's not strong but receives buffs later, if there's a character that you would go back to that got buffs now that didn't have them then, probably not, right? You've already gone so far and developed into your character, right?
Yeah, and as you were talking, I was thinking, like, maybe they were extra cautious with Terry, because if Terry came out and was like as strong as Luke was in Street Fighter V, where like everyone's like clearly top one, like no questions asked. Like, I think if a guest character comes in and does that, it can really like piss off like the Street Fighter community, where it's like, why is Akuma great, but you know, Terry, who's not even a Street Fighter character, completely broken.
It protects the fans, right?
I think
kind
so.
of in a way that I didn't think of that, and that is very, very smart. Huh. Okay. All right. I like that.
I mean, I could be wrong.
No. As soon as you said that, that made perfect sense. 100%. All right. Completely agree. The tier list is so dependent on who's playing what and public opinion. The Big Bird impression is amazing. Thank you. Maybe I can double up for him on interviews and get some, get paid for that. In my opinion, I agree with Ricky. In the end, though, Terry was a disappointment. As the first guest character, I expected crazier things that separates him from the cast.
Yeah, but I also kind of think about guest characters in like Street Fighter V, for example. Like we had Akira, and Akira was cool and fun and good, but she wasn't S tier. You know, arguably she was probably as strong in 5 as Terry is in 6, and you know, nobody got super angry because she was like tuned properly, like she wasn't broken.
But I would, the obvious thing is the love for Terry, by comparison, is so different. But like, so I would imagine Terry fans to want to protect their Terry, like Street Fighter fans want to protect the integrity of their game, right? Like,
right. But then again, like think about when Akuma released in Tekken, right? He was so strong and so broken. The Tekken community was so pissed off, and it didn't cause really anybody who was a Street Fighter fan who had no interest in Tekken to suddenly go out and buy Tekken. I'm sure a handful of people, but it wasn't like Street Fighter players started winning Tekken tournaments because Akuma was broken.
Or vice versa, right? No one's like, I've had enough of Tekken, but I kind of want to see where this Akuma character comes from. Let me go back and buy 5. No, that didn't happen at all, right?
No, I think mostly it was Tekken fans pissed off, and then really, really powerful, Tekken players who felt forced to play him even though they didn't like him because he was so strong. Like, I can win tournaments like this.
Yep, it's the meta. It is what it is. I do think with Terry, like with Akira, they made a very faithful adaptation in bringing his moveset over. Yeah. Which is nice to see. And I think that's fine. If you can do the fans, right, I like that. Despite where Terry's going to be on any tier list, Aieto is having fun with him, and he's so happy that he's here, and it motivates him to want to play Street Fighter more because the character that he actually has, feels something for is there.
Right, and that's the biggest thing. Like, if he is not, in love with any of the characters in 6, and then he's in love with Terry, and it causes him to play, a few hours a week, and he decides to sign up for one of the weekly brackets at Button Club. It's like that's good for the FGC in our book. That's what we want.
100%. To be fair, there were new Japanese that play Street Fighter like Punko. Yeah, I was gonna bring up Punko. Punko kind of.
Yeah, that's, he was like the only one.
Yeah.
It wasn't like Daigo was playing Tekken again.
So, anything else you want to say about Terry?
Not about Terry, but I wanted to talk about not the update itself just yet. I wanted to talk about the things that came with the update.
Okay. All right.
So one thing in particular I want to talk about is the Sim.
Yes, yes.
So if for anyone who doesn't know, it's an AI, CPU, simulator, right? It uses data from online ranked matches and creates what it believes that character at that skill level would play like. And so I used it. I used it Tuesday and I used it Wednesday for a little while. And so I had it mimic like a master rank Ken, a master rank Blanca, master rank Akuma, and the first thing I noticed that was kind of disappointing was like when you go to pick the rank, like if you pick like silver or gold or platinum or diamond, you can pick like which level of diamond, like diamond 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Mm-hmm. When you pick master, I was hoping that you could pick like a 13 to 1400 MR, 14 to 15, and there was none of that. It's just master rank. And at least in my experience from picking, master rank and then fighting the Sim, it must be like 1400 MR. It's not very strong.
My brother said the same thing. I think he said like 1350. He's like, this just does not hit the same. And the standard should probably be the 1500 MR player maybe, or I don't know.
Yeah, I think and I hope that they actually split up the master Sim into different groups, because also like, let's say you are a diamond player and you're trying to get to master. Playing against the master Sim might help you. Or if you got to master rank and then you're down to like 1200, 1300 MR, fighting against that master rank Sim might help you get back to 1500. Mm-hmm. But if you're consistently staying at 1500, and I mean most players, not most players, there are players between 1500 and like 2000 MR that have no reason to play the Sim because it's just beating up the dummy.
Yeah. They're going to learn more from playing a real person than that, right?
Right.
I think is a good setup or a good system for those. Because what is master rank is what 10% of the player population?
I think it's like 2.
Yeah,
I think it's like 2%. It's like nobody.
It's not a lot. And even the other day I was playing against Cross in a 1st to 10, and he was kind of like bagging on himself a little bit. I'm like, look, like there are players out there that wish they were at 1350. They'd be happy just to hit that master rank, badge and call it good. So
right, and in that case too, like there are players who legitimately turn the game on every day after work and they play for an hour or two and they're watching YouTube videos and they're trying to do it. It's like they wish they could hit platinum.
Yeah.
And for like, to be in diamond or master and beating yourself up, it's almost like a slap in the face to them.
Yeah.
And I'm always cautious of that too, where like I can only allow myself to be so upset. Like if I don't win a tournament, it's like, well, if I think I suck because I came in 2nd or 3rd place at the local, then well, what is that saying to the 4th, 5th, 6th place people who are good at Street Fighter and working hard? It's like, it's almost like saying they suck, which isn't true.
See, I would never take it like that. That's always for me is like, you could say like, I suck, I got 3rd, and you had a bad night. And we're not like necessarily comparing, but what like, you've been doing this longer, you have so much more knowledge. So I could never be like, well, if he says he sucks, I must be, absolute gutter trash. But no, I understand the sentiment. And I think that this is going to be something that is going to help players branch out. If you haven't been a tournament player yet, this might be that way of getting that experience so that you can, it's scary. They even mentioned like, are you nervous to get out there? Like now you don't have to be.
Yeah, one thing I was hoping to get out of the Sim was like a lot of times I'll get on and I'll go in training mode for like 10-15 minutes before I'm ready to hop into a ranked match or play with friends. And I was hoping that like the Sim could be my warm up, but honestly, I think it's so weak. It's like I might as well just go in training mode and beat up the dummy.
Yeah, really? Wow.
Well, not only is it weak, but it doesn't. I don't think it considers situations the way a human would. Like if it's in the corner and it's in burnout, it's not like holding up like a human would. You know what I mean? It's like it's kind of letting me DI it, and I'm like, a human would never let me DI here.
What about the? Did you see the teabagging that it was doing back to people?
Yeah.
That cracked me up. I could not believe that.
I was happy to see that because it is a sign that it really is, using the data that it's collecting.
Yeah.
But also is a sign that I don't think it's smart enough to understand what's going on.
What it's doing, yeah.
And I think that's also one of the reasons why, like, for example, when I have it in the corner and it's burnt out, it lets me DI it because it doesn't comprehend until after I've done something. And I'm sure it has some kind of formula in it where it's like, oh, like master rank players react to DI in the corner when they're in burnout with level 1 20% of the time, and so it reacts 20% of the time.
Okay, I understand. Yeah.
Where when you fight real people, it's like, oh, this guy reacts 90% of the time, and that guy reacts 0% of the time, and there's your 20%.
We're not talking about you, Jared, so don't worry about it.
No, it's me. I'm the 0%.
He had a tough match, and he watched it over, and he was messaging me. He was like, "Oh man, I did this, and that, and yeah, these drive impacts." I think I was commentating that match, and that was like, ugh, another drive impact.
I think that getting hit with drive impact in this game is way more frustrating when you could have DI'd it back. I think that when like let's say like you pressed a heavy kick in neutral and they DI and there was like nothing you could have done about it. It's like, that one's not so bad. Or if you're in the corner and you're burnt out and you intend to react with super and you miss it. It's like, that one's also not so bad. It's hard to do. But when you're like in the corner and you have like 3 bars of drive meter and they just DI you and you didn't react, it's like, that's like so salt inducing. Like, that's 100% my fault. I need to get better. Not only do I need to get better, but that means this guy thinks I suck so bad that he didn't believe I was going to react, and he was right.
Oh man. So what about the V rival? Did you mess with that at all?
So that's basically the Sim, right? So you can do the Sim to fight a character with...
Oh, I understand.
So you use the Sim to fight a character with a particular rank. There's also a V rival. And what I found out about it is the V rival is weird. So it doesn't copy you. It copies... I'm trying to remember. It's like I have to fight online Lukes in order for it to make a Luke V rival.
Oh, that's not what I thought it was going to be.
Right, and I saw Brian F. tweeting about it because he was confused about it too. He was like, this thing is not doing what I usually do. And like on mine, when I went to do it, it was like, you need at least 50 matches to make a V rival, and I have 8. And I was like, there's no way I only have 8. And then I saw Brian F.'s tweet about it. I was like, oh, if it's only counting matches I've played against Luke with Luke, then it probably is 8 because nobody plays Luke online.
Yeah. Huh. And
so I haven't gotten to do the V rival for that reason.
Because I was looking forward to playing against myself and being like, "Ha, what an idiot! He did that." And like, oh, that's you. You got to stop doing that. Those are the mistakes that you're making.
Yeah. The other thing I thought was really strange is like, obviously it's entertaining to like fight my own V rival, but it's actually the least helpful for me because that's the only player I never have to fight. Right?
Yeah, like that. Yeah.
So like what I was hoping to happen was that like I could download someone else's V rival and fight them. Like if I could fight Daigo's V rival, that would be something. Or if I could fight Punk's V rival. But it seems like that's not what it is, and that's disappointing.
Oh, that is disappointing. Because I was hoping. I know a lot of the Tekken players talk highly about their. Is it their Shadow?
I have no idea.
I forget what they call it, but they have their own thing, or their Ghost or something.
The Ghost,
yeah. So they have their own thing, and I was kind of hoping it would be more like that because they rant and rave about how good that is in Tekken.
Yeah, but unfortunately, it's not. And I think the Sim is good for a lot of people. Like I was saying, I think 2% of players are master rank. So for 98% of Street Fighter players, this is a great tool to practice and learn from. But unfortunately, for high level players, it's cool and I'm glad it's there, but it's not very useful.
It's not doing it for you. Who at Button Club could benefit from something like this?
That's a really good question, and I think the answer is almost no one because the skill level of Button Club is so incredibly high, right? Like if there's on any given Monday 16 plus players in the Street Fighter bracket, there's probably like 15 or 14 master rank players.
I think of like Waffle right away.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Waffle would be great. And I was wondering if something like this would help Toast.
It could. I think one thing that this could offer is matchup knowledge against a character you don't see very often.
Okay.
So like for example, like Beefcake plays Aki, but there's not that many Aki players. So if Beefcake's not around and I go and I play ranked or I'm playing random people, there's a really good chance I'm not going to run into any Akis. And then another week rolls around and I got to fight Beefcake again and I'm struggling. It's like, I wish I could practice this. So that's a situation where the Sim could be useful. Okay. But again, I just wish it was stronger because like if I just beat up on the Aki Sim, I might not learn a whole lot.
Well, what about the there's a feedback portion at the end, right?
Yeah,
so a little word bubble.
Yeah, so there's word bubbles, and like I probably should have paid closer attention to it, but at least from what I saw, I think it was almost like there's triggers. Like if you react to DI 3 times, it says you do a great job reacting to DI. But I don't think it's like nuanced enough to be like, oh, you should be pressing stand, medium kick, and neutral more often. Like I don't think it's that smart.
Because at the end of the day, it is AI. We're at the infancy of that, and it's being implemented in such a way where, of course, it's helping, but how, like you said, how direct or how responsive could it be with something like that?
Yeah, and the way it acts, and from at least the minimal amount of time I've spent with it, I'm not convinced that it is AI. I think it's using AI to collect the data, and then it's a CPU at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it's learning as it plays.
Oh, okay.
And it's like I don't think it's learning as it plays, and I don't think it's learning compared to what I'm doing to it. Like I wish, because I think there was a thing like this in Smash where you fight it. Like it starts off just like walking around and like pressing jab, and like as you fight it, it's like copying you sort of. And so if you're a really strong player and you're beating the crap out of this dummy, all of a sudden the dummy starts doing it back to you. And so that felt more like AI, where this, I think it's basically downloading that version of a play from the online ranked matches, and then once you have it, it's stagnant until you like reload it. But when you reload it, it's again ignoring anything you've done to it. It's just pulling the ranked data.
So it's not like fighting someone from last week to remember, oh, they hit me with this, I'm going to remember. It's just kind of like it's a whole new experience. It doesn't remember. And then, yeah, okay, I could see how that'd be kind of meh. So what's the value in this overall? Like outside of yourself and like in general, what would you rate this update?
So for the Sim being included, I would say it's like a 8 out of 10. Where for the majority of players, this is a useful tool. It's basically an upgraded version of fighting a CPU dummy, which normally I would say is not a good idea because the CPU dummies are so dumb. But I think this is like a smarter version of it. And so if you're in Platinum trying to get to Diamond, or if you're in Diamond trying to get to Master, like if you're in Platinum trying to get to Diamond, play against the Diamond Sims. And then if you are in Diamond trying to get to Master, fight against the Master Sims. But I think once you're in Master rank, it's not really very useful.
That's basically what I was asking there, Bono. Is it like Tekken Ghost? And from the sounds of it, with the way Ricky's describing his time with it, not really, unfortunately. So seems a little maybe underwhelming by comparison, but still a good tool for the masses, right?
Yeah, it's a good tool for the masses, and I also hope that they like iterate on this and implement like new versions of it. Because like I would love it if I could almost like craft an opponent, right? Like if I could tell it, react to my DI with DI 100% of the time, perfect parry this setup 100% of the time. If I do a safe jump, always perfect parry, hit me with the, what I mean? Like to like train me to be better, where against humans, like I have to test them first. And like if I safe jump them and they don't know how to respond to it, I can abuse that. But if I safe jump and they perfect parry, then it's like, well, do I do it again? Do I mix them up? And so if you were able to fight a quote unquote perfect opponent, or you get to choose what part of it is perfect and what part of it is not, I feel like that could be very valuable. Because I think there's a lot of players, like especially in like Platinum and Diamond rank, who win and lose based off, I'm going to DI my opponent, and if they react, I lose, and if they don't react, I win. And that's not a good way to level up to a point where you can hit Master rank.
Or and like be consistent in that once you get there,
right. And the same thing, like if they're playing with their friends and they have one friend who's really good at reacting to DI and one friend who's really bad at reacting to DI, it's like, well, against that guy I don't do DI hardly at all, and against the other guy I just spam DI. It's like, well, yeah, that works on those two cases, but what happens when you fight someone you've never met before and you don't know how
and you don't know? Yeah. This is the time that you're meeting someone in tournament, and you got to go through all that in a best of 3 game, right? So,
right.
Kevin, I'm salty about how good people are and how fast they get this and how slow I learn. So it's not that you learn slow. You just don't have the same amount of experience,
I mean, he might learn slow. I'm not going to take that away from him, but I don't think it's necessary. No, I'm not kicking anybody down. I think it's not necessarily a bad thing. I would argue that I'm a slow learner, and I've heard Daigo said that he's a slow learner as well.
Yes, I heard that recently.
Like even when Akuma came out, like Akuma is pretty simple. I think the only thing that's nuanced about Akuma in general is that you have to react to whether your opponent is crouching or standing to know if you can Tatsu or not. But it took me like days and days, like hours and hours grinding Akuma just to do like his bread and butter combos. Not that I couldn't do the combos, but to be in a real match and like have the thought process of like, at this range, at this spacing, I should do this combo and here's why. Took me like days. Like there was so many times where I could have done like a drive rush combo to kill, and I did like, crouch medium kick, light Tatsu into sweep, and then double dash throw. And then I look at the meters and I'm like, oh, that was like stupid. It was that one sequence isn't bad in the right context, and this was not the correct context.
Yeah, everyone's so different. Enjoy what you got. All right, and what else came with this update?
Oh, the I'm trying to remember what it's called. It's like the replay takeover.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so I didn't get a chance to play with that at all, and to be honest, I'm probably not going to use it very often. Did you get a chance to look at it?
No, I didn't.
Okay,
No, unfortunately. I went to play today, and I saw, not that I haven't played all week, I just hadn't done those things, and then there was a drive tickets for winning 15 matches in the Battle Hub, so that's when I went, and then that's when the Simpson thing kicked on. I'm like, oh, that's right, I haven't even done this yet, so yeah, I haven't ventured too far. The only thing I've done is Terry, that's it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you said you didn't get to use the replay takeover?
No, so I didn't get to use it, but just in general, like it's a great tool to have. Like other fighting games have had it. I think Tekken has it.
Yeah.
And it's in a way it's kind of a shame that it wasn't released when the game came out, but I also understand like they're trying to release a complete fighting game that's good on day one, which they successfully did, which Capcom's never done before. I mean, it's just true, right? Like even Street Fighter 4 wasn't that good day one. Everybody loved it, but it wasn't good. There was infinites and there was all kind of unblockables. And Sagat was way too strong.
Yeah.
What was I saying?
It's like trauma. No, like we got a great game.
So we got a great game. So the fact that like the replay takeover wasn't included day one or even at the end of the first year, like we got it now. I'm glad we have it now, and I'm sure there'll be a time in the near future where like, oh, I forgot we never had that.
That's true. I feel like what they did for the game to be released in the state that it was perfect, because Street Fighter V failed to help the casual community, and this game it was like helping everybody. It was for the casuals, it was for the competitors, the halfway in betweens, and then you get stuff like this added on that only adds to the value of the game. So I'm glad we got what we got day one, and that this was implemented later, and I think something like this will become commonplace with other fighters.
Yeah, what's still mind-boggling to me, and I forget that this happened, Street Fighter V released without arcade mode.
Yeah.
Like, if you can go into versus mode and choose CPU on the computer, that's essentially all arcade mode is. Just like, it's just a mode that the programming is that it does like 10 matches in a row and then it plays a cutscene.
Yep.
So like they couldn't do that.
They couldn't do that. They couldn't even do the other thing. All you had was survivor mode.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. So you had survivor mode, and that was how you unlocked colors.
Yes.
And so you had to, I think you had to beat like survivor mode level 50 to get color 10.
Yes, you're 100% right.
And I lost on level 50 twice in a row, and I cried.
It's because and then you're like, what a waste of time. I have to go all the way back.
And then like weeks later, they like made it easier, and then you could unlock color 10 in other ways.
And then I think there was another update that was like, hey, what about a save spot? What if like we give you points, the daily loot boxes, right? And it would allow you to like, I know I lost, but how about I didn't? And we keep this rolling, I still get the thing. And then I remember in the beginning, there were times where people would be almost done completing whatever part of the survivor mode, and the server would disconnect.
I hate that noise. That gives me trauma.
Yes. That should be like how we bleep out cuss words in certain videos or something.
That's like the rage quit sound.
Ricky was a slow learner, but he kept grinding and having fun. Now he's a top player. Was literal years from not knowing how to anti-air to the high level.
This is true.
There you go. I mean,
and I talked about it before, and it's true. And Super John started this firsthand. Like when Street Fighter V was new, like even at like the end of Season 1 for Street Fighter V, like the end of the first year of Street Fighter V, I think I was like a silver rank, and deservingly so. Like I wasn't good enough to get to Diamond or anything else, and it just took me a long time and a lot of hard work to get there. And so it's like I want to encourage anyone who's going through that struggle now.
Yeah.
In Street Fighter 6, like it is a long road. It is tough, and there will be players that join after you and catch up quickly, and it's nothing negative against you.
Yeah, man. I mean, everyone's journey, and that's the thing. I've never seen your journey exactly, right? I've seen a piece of it from what I've been around, but I don't know like those hard days where you're like, man, I feel like I can't get this, or I'm never gonna get past this wall. I would love to see like younger Ricky, right? No facial hair, like, man, I really wanted to beat him today, and
that's literally what it was. And, there was many weeks, especially at like Platinum City, like the old Platinum City, where like I would go like 0-2, 1-2, and just be like so upset with myself, like, what am I wasting my time for? Like seeing the players who are like making top 3 and be like, man, I would give anything to get 3rd place. And now that I've been playing longer and I've leveled up quite a bit, and so now when I get 3rd place, it doesn't feel like I did it. It's like, oh man, I was so close to 2nd or 1st.
But there's never that part of you to reflect and go like, no, like there's a part of you, like I always look at my first top 3 photo on the left there with the stick at PCG and be like, wow, I'll never forget how I don't think I slept good for like the next 2 or 3 nights after that. I just
Cloud 9.
Yeah, I felt so good. So on those nights where like, oh, I could have gotten this, I could have gotten that, I'm always reminding myself, hey, remember what the younger you would have thought of something like that.
Yeah, and it's good and healthy to think that way, but I think it's also natural for your goals to get more and more ambitious.
Yeah, never full, right?
Yeah.
Always want more. So along with Terry came a bunch of, well, not a bunch of,
a good amount of updates, patch notes.
I'll be honest with you, I think it'd be hard to say like this is the perfect patch, right? But I think I'm really happy with overall what they've done with this.
Yeah, and like on one hand, there was things I thought they were going to do that they didn't, but I can't necessarily say I'm disappointed because I would also hate if they make sweeping changes mid-season.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, we're in a Capcom Pro Tour.
Like, if this was the end of the year update, I would be upset. I'd be like, they didn't do enough.
Yeah.
But this is just like a character release update. I think they made a good number of changes. Like, there are some things that are in here that I don't necessarily think we needed, and there's things that I thought we needed that I didn't see. But again, this isn't like a legit patch. This is just like, while the character is being updated and we have your servers down anyways, let's sneak a few fixes in.
Yeah. We noticed this. Here's a little quality of life for everyone. And there were a couple of things that were reverted back to a previous patch, right? Yep. And your character is one of them?
In a way, he is.
In a way. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah,
because there's things about Luke that they reverted, and there's other things that they did not revert. And one of those things being the range on Luke's crouch medium punch, which is still stubbier than ever. But now his normals will have less pushback. From what I was reading, and I'm sure you have felt it to know, but from what I was reading, I remember being like, oh, Ricky must be so happy about this because I've literally heard him say these exact things about crouching medium punch. Yeah, so crouch medium punch is one of them, so we can go through some of the changes.
That's true. Yeah, let's do that.
I was about to list off all of Luke's changes off the top of my head.
All right. I'll leave it right here. I think that's perfect.
Yeah, so the important thing with these Luke changes is remembering which changes is on hit and which changes are on block. So crouching light punch, there's less pushback both on hit and on block, and that's a huge thing. And same thing with the crouching light kick. And so what this means is after with the Season 2 patch, it made it so Luke could not do crouch light kick, crouch light punch, crouch light punch. The second punch would always whiff. And so now you can do it if you're at point blank range, which is huge. And I don't know if anyone else caught on to this, but I started doing things like if I had you in the corner, I would like forward throw, walk up, forward throw, walk up, and I would crouch light kick, crouch light punch, and I would confirm into OD knuckle. Where in the past I could just like crouch light kick, crouch light punch, and then confirm. But I had to like get really quick at realizing right away, like, did I hit him? And then the important thing with here is the crouch medium punch has less pushback on hit, but not less pushback on block. And so the crouch medium punch is +1 on block, but it's not in throw range unless they're all the way in the corner. And so I think that's a smart change. I don't think Luke needed crouch medium punch to have less pushback on block, because it is plus on block, and there's a lot of characters that don't have plus on block normals.
Especially such a sweet one like that.
Yeah, and again, I was saying that the crouch medium punch used to have more range, and they reduced that range, and I obviously wish they brought that back, but I think that's not what that button was supposed to be. I think the button's supposed to be, when I'm point blank in your face, I'm going to hit something to be plus, and then you have to kind of guess, am I going to baby step throw, or am I going to hit crouch jab, or am I going to crouch medium punch again, or am I going to, take a step back and shimmy you?
It's a guess now rather than just being like berated with that button, which is what it kind of felt like in the beginning, right?
Yeah. In season 1 it was like that, and also it was way too easy to whiff punish stuff with in neutral.
Yeah,
which was great. It was good to do.
Yeah.
It's not what it was supposed to be. And then the outlaw kick, which is the back heavy kick, it says increased inertia out of drive rush. So I have to actually go into training mode and figure that one out, because there was a change in season 1 to the frame data on that kick, because you used to be able to punish a invincible reversal with drive rush back heavy kick into drive rush back heavy kick, and I know that still doesn't work even with this change.
Yeah,
but I'm just curious, if you increase the inertia out of drive rush, does that mean if you punish a ODDP with drive rush back heavy kick, are you closer to the opponent, and is it just making it easier to combo into stand heavy punch? Which I think is the case, but I didn't actually stop and check it in training mode.
The demonstration that I saw was through Rooflemonger, and he was basically just showing him full screen, drive rushing, hitting the button, and just seeing how he's still skating across like crazy while that animation is happening, rather than it just kind of
abruptly stopping.
Yeah, like you would with a drive rush jab or something. So that might be to like maybe catch something, and maybe a jump in or something that you might not catch from full screen that you now can without having to rely on fireball or something like that. Maybe.
Yeah, and then the last change here is just the 1-2-3 light punch, medium punch, heavy punch target combo. So they removed the immediate scaling on the second attack, and then they changed the damage of the final attack from 600 to 800. And so basically what that meant was, with the season 2 patch, when you do the 1-2-3 into like heavy knuckle, for example, it does like no damage at all. So there's very few situations where it's actually like good to do it. And so the only time I would really like use that on hit is if I got like a counter hit crouch medium punch from like far away, and my second crouch medium punch would whiff, and so the only thing I can combo is stand jab. But even then, that's like, I'm doing it because it's the only thing that reaches, but I'm getting like nothing for this.
So not too bad. So you're happy with that, I would imagine.
Oh, yeah, right? These are all good changes, and like I said before, Luke's not in a bad spot, so he got nothing but buffs, even though they're not huge buffs, so I'm happy with that.
The next character that jumps out to me is, we've talked about him before, and we both, we got a love for this guy, right?
Yeah.
But, so they made some changes here that I thought were really quite interesting. So Sonic Boom changed super art gauge gain on the light and heavy versions from 600 to 300. They cut that in half.
Yep.
And this was really just to target a lot of those boom loop combos, right?
Yeah.
And I even outside of that, I would imagine, right? Because I was watching someone show side by side the comparison of the meter gauge, and I remember there were times being playing guy be like, "Wow, I already have level 3, and I haven't really done a whole lot yet."
Right.
And now I'm going to sit on this for at least the next round. If I win, if they win, I might sit on this for another 2 rounds. So I did find that to be an interesting. What do you think about that?
So I think reducing the super art gauge gain on Sonic Booms is smart. What I thought was really interesting is they did the light and heavy version from 600 to 300, but then the next line says that the medium version was only cut down to 450. And I think the reasoning behind this is they said like, his light boom and his heavy boom are his 2 best booms. Yeah. There's not a great reason to use medium boom, hardly ever. And so now the idea is, if you're trying to spam booms to get super meter, you have to throw the medium one, which isn't as good. And I just thought it was a really interesting way for them to try to balance that. Like they could have cut the medium version down to 300 as well, and then try to buff the medium in some way. But it's hard when you have a character like Guile who, throwing booms is so good.
And what he's supposed to be doing.
Right. So it's like, you don't necessarily want to buff the medium version in any meaningful way. And so here's like, they could have just cut it down to 300 and said, medium boom sucks. But they gave us something.
There was a change in the last patch to medium booms. I think drive gauge return. That was cut. If someone else in the chat can, remind me and make sure I'm not saying this wrong, but there was a change done to medium boom with the drive gauge. So is the fact that it wasn't cut down to 300 like compensating for that? I'm wondering.
I don't know, but it says here also that changed the drive gauge gain from 1,000 to 500. So I'm assuming that's across the board.
Oh, yeah, because it's not specific at all.
Yeah.
Interesting. So now that's balanced. Okay.
And,
so
I think the idea here is if Guile, let's say, spends some of his drive gauge and he's throwing booms in neutral and you're parrying the booms but not getting perfect parry on the booms, I think the idea behind it is like Guile should not be gaining meter faster than the person who's parrying them. Like obviously if you perfect parry, you get a bunch more meter and then you can like drive rush in or just like use the extra frames to move forward to make the Guile not want to throw so many booms. But yeah, like against characters that didn't have good answers to you just spamming Sonic Boom, you could just like throw an OD boom at 99 seconds and then like dry rush into a normal and then to kind of back up and just start spamming booms so you're back to 6 bars. And I think also, I think Guile is obviously a strong character, but at the lower levels, he's like unbeatable.
He's a monster.
He's a monster, right?
Which is why I think it's hard for them to know what to do with him.
Right, and I think they, most of the time, do balance patches for like the highest level of play and like the pro players, the master rank players. Mm-hmm. But I think sometimes they have to think about, like, can we do something that's not going to affect the pros much at all, but it will affect, 98% of the players who are playing this game and miserable because they can't perfect parry Honda's headbutt, right?
Yeah. No, that's true.
So that's what I see that's what I think when I see this third change is, Guile's just spamming booms and people not being able to get in.
Let's talk about Ken real quick. Oh wait,
there's no changes. Oh, we should switch to the camera.
Yeah. That's bad. While you were talking, I wanted to load in on that. So the next person I want to talk about. So
now everyone can see it. Ken's grayed out. There's no changes to Ken. The only changes that affect Ken whatsoever are universal changes.
Dalsum. I want to talk about Dalsum.
Dalsum got big buffs.
Dalsum got UPS, FedEx, next day delivery buffs.
But I will say, I think it's warranted. I think Dalsum was so incredibly weak that like when I ran into Dalsums online, especially with a character like Luke, who's pretty heavy on rushdown when he wants to be, like there were times where like I was not doing well against a Dalsum player. Like I'm either getting outplayed or like, I'm getting zoned out, whatever. I get one jump in or one crouch medium kick.
Boom, momentum swing.
Right. It's like huge momentum swing. If I can shimmy and Dalsum delay text in the corner, which as when Dalsum's in the corner, the player is incentivized to do a defensive option like that because their defense is so poor. So it's like, I get one crouch medium kick and a drive rush. I put you in the corner. I shimmy you once, you literally die. And I'm like, okay, I stole that round because this character doesn't have the tools they need. And when I saw some of these changes, like, okay, they're trying to let them fight back.
Mm-hmm. And I think they needed it. And all I could think of, obviously, was Tomlet. So I'm wondering how many more, like, prayer cards we're going to get out of the Dalsum thing. Inside joke. If you guys haven't seen that. But, just look at the list of changes. You guys can see there's so much going on here.
Yeah, if we want to go through them quickly, I'm pretty sure they're all buffs, right?
Yeah, pretty sure. So, assisted combo 2. Wait, that's not.
Yeah, that's
classic controls. It's dynamic or modern, right?
Yeah, it's dynamic.
So, standing medium punch, change advantage on hit from -2 to 0. So this is really great. Like they can.
So this is especially good because that means on punish counter hit, you're +4 and you can combo.
They can get a jab now or something, right?
Right.
So, I mean, I don't have to explain too hard why that's better. That just makes sense for something to be at least, neutral on hit. Standing heavy kick, change advantage on punish counter from +21 to +24. Yeah, I was seeing a lot of, this is the big one.
Yeah.
Because now this shuts down fireball at a certain range, right? Everyone's saying you can't throw fireballs at Dalsum because he'll hit you with this. And now he's +24. Yeah, so he actually gets something for this button. So I agree with this. I agree with
and it's not like a bunch of. It's 3 extra frames.
Yeah. It's not like too much,
Right. It's not like he went from being able to dry rush jab to dry rush heavy punch.
Yeah, right? Jumping medium punch. The tip of the arm hurt box will no longer be hit by an opponent's cross-up attack. So this is that one where his limb just goes completely horizontal. It's like his really good air-to-air button, right?
Yeah, it goes like really far straight. Yep.
Yep. Reduce the knockback distance from mid-air hit. This is his Nirvana punch. So this is a down back heavy punch.
Oh, this is a good change. So I think this is actually it's on hit. So I guess it's a buff to him. For a second, I thought it was on block because sometimes when he does the jump heavy punch, it's so hard to like do anything. Like you block it and like it feels plus because you can't reach him.
That's what this is.
I think that's what that button is.
But
this
is in the air.
But this reduced the knockback on hit.
Okay, yes, air hit. I just saw that. Okay. Okay.
And it says mid-air hit, so it doesn't say air-to-air. It says mid-air. So I'm thinking that might mean it's easier to combo off after on hit.
Maybe get a dive kick or something. Yoga Fire normal. Change the timing of when the attack transitions to the delayed version from frames 5 to 7. Okay, and then change the recovery of the delayed version on block from -3 to -1.
So I'm thinking the first change is you have more time to release your Yoga Fire. Like if you don't want to charge it, you have a larger window to release the button, and it doesn't give you any extra charging. Where I think because like before it was like, okay, if you released on frame 6, you just wasted a frame. But now you have up to frame 7 without wasting any frames.
Okay. That's cool. And then the overdrive version, change the knockback when the first attack hits from frames 20 to 24. It's very interesting. Reduce the pushback on hit for the first attack. Remove the body hurt box that appears before the attack. Wow. So that was obviously some sort of like bug glitch, right? Reduce the body hurt box that appears after the attack backwards.
So I think that's... Wait. Reduce it backwards. I'm not sure. I'm not gonna think too hard. That's
for you Dawson players. You're lucky we were uncovering this low tier character. And then
Yoga Flame.
Yep, Yoga Flame expanded the attack hurt box forward.
The hitbox.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yep, attack hitbox on the first attack forward. Expanded the attack hitbox that appears for the second attack and after when the opponent hits during a combo.
Yeah, so that just sounds like a straight buff to me.
Mm-hmm. And this looks like a bug fix too. Fix an issue when if the opponent perfect parry this attack, any technique performed after that would have perfect parry scaling added to it until Dalsum landed. Oh, that's so interesting. Oh. Wow. That's a big fix then.
Yeah.
And then Yoga Inferno. So this is huge. And this attack now deals recoverable damage to the opponent when blocked. So you're going to get a big, huge chunk of gray health missing. And then recoverable damage is set to 792 with 492 chip damage and 300 recoverable, blah, blah, blah. Change drive gauge reduction on block. Wow.
So double drive meter damage.
Wow. And changed overall recovery for the light and medium versions from 133 to 128 frames. Okay, so it's significantly quicker, right? Change the advantage on block for the light and medium versions from 15 to -10 frames.
So it's harder to punish.
Yep. Increase the pushback on block for the light and medium versions and change the hurt box on the heavy version from startup to the third active frame from standing to crouching. These are so detailed. Every time I read one of these, I'm so glad I don't have to balance games for a living.
I wouldn't mind.
You wouldn't mind? Yeah? Oh my god, no.
Ken? That crouch medium kick?
That's why you're not there, okay? And then, does anyone else stand out to you? There's 2 more that I wanted to look at, but I want to check out Akuma and M. Bison, because I know people have been talking about those characters a lot, and I don't know if there's anyone else that you wanted to look at personally.
Yeah, I want to take a look at Zangief.
Yes, that's a great one. So, your boy Zangief hit a big peak of buffs in the last one.
A little bit too much to be
a little overtuned for the character, and I think this is kind of this is rectifying that 100%. So Knee hammer. This is forward medium kick. He kind of like lunges forward off the ground with his knee, and it's a great way to move forward and get a command grab off of it, or a guess. So change recovery on block from -3 to -4, so he can't just be throwing this out and be safe.
Right.
He's going to be -4. He can get punished for it, but he has to now be mindful of spacing it, so I kind of do like that.
Right, because the other thing that was scary is, like, it's one thing to throw it out and be -3, but what if he has level 3 on deck?
Oh, that's true. Then
you know what I mean? It's plus.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not going to jab there.
No, it doesn't matter. Expanded the body hurt box forward on the second frame of the technique and later. So now it just looks like it might be a little bit easier to hit, right, when he's doing that?
Yeah, especially if he's whiffing it. I think it's easier to whiff punish.
The hurt box around the legs from startup until landing has not been expanded. Okay, so that'll remain the same. Move the character's center access from frames 2 to 6 of the technique to match the appearance of the attack. So I don't really know exactly what that looks like, but the fact that it matches the animation makes me happy, right?
Yeah, I think it's just an adjustment of where the character is versus where the hitboxes and hurt boxes are. They made it make more sense. So it's less ambiguous.
So that's pretty cool. And then this last bit is headbutt, which is forward heavy punch. So they added 25% initial scaling because they don't want you mindlessly doing it twice, right? If you're going to do it, then you're going to pay for it in the scaling department.
Right, because the other thing, too, it's like once you do it, it's plus on block. And the idea is, like, if you do it and they block it, now they have to guess. And that's what makes the thing strong. So they want to give you less reward when it hits.
I think, like, these are perfectly in the pocket. Changed combo scaling from 10% to 20%. So that makes total sense because he was already hitting like a truck.
Right. So the idea is, like I said, you do the headbutt. You kind of want them to block it so that you can mix them up. So now when you get the hit, you don't get equal reward. It's like, okay, now you got the hit. You get to do a combo. You know, you get corner carry, Oki, whatever you want, but you're not going to kill him with this combo.
And now they've given you an extra frame of advantage on hit. So I'm sure that the combo route that he can choose to do now will be a little bit more improved for him.
Yeah, improved and likely easier. Yeah, I think those are all good changes.
Yeah, like there's nothing about this that I'm like screaming at, you know. Even with characters kind of going a little bit back there. This is just a bug fix, so I don't even think we need to cover that, right?
What does it say?
Fixed an issue that allowed regular Go Hadokens to be performed while an overdrive one was still on screen.
Oh, so I'm assuming this has to do with fireballs being like on the edge of the screen, where like I'm sure if you like threw an OD fireball and then both like if Akuma forward dashed and the character back dashed, then it brings the OD fireball back on screen, but you can still throw a fireball.
So that's nothing too major. And now everyone else is...
I'm surprised that they didn't do anything to Akuma.
Well, I think it makes sense because it's still undecided. He's not so clear-cut a good character. If you were to beat me with Akuma, then I would say, well, you beat me with Akuma. But if you were to lose with Akuma, you say, well, I lost because it's Akuma. It's the excuse of why you won and lost is kind of the same. So I think that's why I don't mind letting that marinate a little bit longer and seeing. Everyone's favorite villain and a Superpower Review's favorite character of all time. He's told me this several times. Your boy M. Bison. Drive reversal, reduce the attack hitbox, and standby block hitbox. This is specific to this character because he kind of does like a drop kick. Yeah. He gets very horizontal, kind of long. So I guess that makes sense to kind of match that animation too, no?
Well, yeah, because so you were saying like the animation's very horizontal. I think the hitboxes before matched it, and now they're saying we're making it not match the animation because the animation was too good. Essentially, his drive reversal was too good. Because the other thing too is like obviously M. Bison doesn't have an invincible reversal, and so he has to rely on drive reversal more often. But the drive reversal reached so far, it was like you couldn't even get next to him.
That's true.
It reminded me of like Urian's OD headbutt or EX headbutt in Street Fighter V, where it's like, yeah, I'm going to do all this work to get next to him because that's where I'm better against this character. And as soon as I make him block one thing, he's just going to rip an OD headbutt or an EX headbutt.
I wasn't thinking about like the full range. I was thinking point blank because he kind of like it gets completely vertical, balls up, and when he shoots that drop kick out, that's when he elongates. So
yeah, because part of it too is you can drive reversal on wake up, so you might not even be in throw range, and he's just doing it, and you're getting hit by it.
That's true. Yeah, you're getting pushed back. Yeah. Psycho Crusher attack with Psycho Mind. So fix an issue where if this move was canceled into Super Art 3 just after colliding with a projectile, neither Psycho Crusher attack nor Super Art 3 would be able to reach the opponent. Now Psycho Crusher attack must hit the opponent before it can be canceled into Super Art 3, and I have already felt and noticed that difference with some training mode bites and stuff.
Good.
Fixed an issue where the move would get canceled mid-action if it collided with a projectile after connecting with an opponent. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Some of these bugs, you're like, I've never seen it, but can you imagine seeing that and being like, oh, finally?
I also imagine some of these bugs, like, not things that happen in real matches. It was like someone was troubleshooting, like, at Capcom and realized, like, oh, this is a weird interaction that should never happen, but let's just fix it just so it's not a thing.
And then Psycho Crusher attack normal and overdrive. Fix the hurt box during burnout to match the normal version as they would differ after the attack passed by the opponent. And then Psycho Crusher attack with Psycho Mind overdrive. These are all just bug fixes. These are all little bug fixes.
Well, this one says adjustment/bug.
Yeah, right here.
So double knee press.
Yeah, and this is what everyone kind of wanted. I think this is the whole meat and potatoes of this whole bit. Yeah.
So let's just talk about the double knee press.
Yeah, reduce the body hurt box on block and hit for the second attack from the end of the attack's active frames until mid recovery. So now when he can't just throw this out.
Right. And then the other thing, I think the second change is the most important. Reduce the pushback on block.
Mm-hmm. In line with the above hurt box reduction change. So, yeah, that means he'll be a little more reduce the pushback on block. So he's still gonna kind of
right. So it's he lands closer to you, and then they also pulled the hurt box back. So the distance you can hit him from is essentially it's hard to explain, but it'll be easier to punish him when he does a poorly spaced scissor kick.
I understand. Now I'll get more than just standing light kick into nothing, hopefully, right?
Right.
And then that was just the first one that we read?
That was the first and second.
Okay, and then fixed an issue where the first attack hit but the second didn't. The recovery for the second attack would be the same as if he moved and had completed whiffed.
Oh, completely whiffed. Yeah. And I've seen that before, too, where you get hit by the first kick of the double knee press, the second one whiffs, and you get a full punish.
A lot of talk about this character.
Oh, is there talk about this character?
Because they kind of look at this.
Are these buffs?
He kind of went back a little bit. I think he got better Luke treatment than Luke did.
I'm surprised too, because I feel like DJ in season 1, similar to Luke, was overtuned.
Yeah.
And then when both DJ and Luke got nerfed, I feel like, I mean, I guess you could say that they both got nerfed about the same amount, but I think they were both still really good. Like, they don't need huge buffs. They don't need big changes to be relevant. And so I'm surprised that they're giving DJ this much.
I'd say, like, those three, it's DJ, JP, and Luke were the definitive problem childs of season 1 that, got
the most attention.
Yeah, most detention, maybe, right? True, yeah. And now they're kind of free a little bit more. So face breaker, back heavy kick, slightly expanded the collision push box sideways when this attack lands as a great counter hit or punish counter. This fix has been made to alleviate issues with special moves coming out in the wrong direction after the following combo. Okay.
Yeah, so that seems like a good change.
Yeah.
Quality of life.
3B, change the second attack's recovery from 18 to 20. Increase the knockback time on hit or block for the second attack by 2 frames. Wow, look, there's so much going on here.
Yeah, so by increasing the recovery, they have to adjust it by 2 frames, so it's the same frame data.
I understand. Okay. Reduced pushback on the second hit. Added 20% initial scaling to the second attack. Removed the forced standing property from the second attack. Delayed the transition timing from the second attack to the final attack by 2 frames. There's so much here, and it's all little stuff. They must have really been like, okay, let's hurt this character a little bit, so it's not a problem. And in the meantime, we can really find the diagnose the problems, I guess.
Yeah, sometimes I wonder when there's this many changes and this much detail on a character, if someone who's like on the balance patch team is like a DJ main and like has so much information on this character.
Yeah, they've put in all the love to kind of understand what needs to happen with the character.
And there's like a joke with Street Fighter V that like one of the One of the balancing, people must have been a Cammy main because they just buffed her over and over and over.
Yeah, I remember hearing that. Yeah. I'll be honest. I don't even want to have to go through all this. There's a lot here. Do you want to read any of this?
Sure. So for Jackknife Maximum, the medium or the heavy version, the attack hitbox at the base of the first attack has been expanded downward slightly in order to hit mid-air attacks that have a low profile when recovering upon landing. And that's surprising to me because I feel like this is essentially his flash kick. I feel like it's so good at anti-airing that they didn't need to buff anything. But, I mean, I guess they're doubling down on that. Waning Moon, which is, let me think. This is a Sobot kick, I believe. And this is just the medium version. So this is Baby, I believe, because the light kick version is the fake Baby.
Okay.
So drive gauge reduction on block changed from 4,000 to 6,000. Changed hit effect on punish counter from knockdown slam to ground bound. I'm not sure if that means he can combo after it. I think it is because the third change is added scaling of 30%.
Oh.
So I'm wondering if he couldn't combo off punish counter before, but now he can, so they have to add scaling to make it kind of fair.
I think Temper was talking about that a little bit.
Yeah, that seems like a pretty big buff. But again, it only really happens on punish counter, and so that's only happening if someone's like if you're whiff punishing with it, which I guess you could just throw it out and get lucky and whiff punish with it. But Winning Moon, the OD version, changed the hit effect during a mid-air hit from knockdown to ground bound. So again, I think you can combo after it. I'm curious what that is on hit. It'd be nice if it's like only +4, so he only gets like jab into jackknife.
Keep it simple.
Yeah. Super Art 1, Greatest Sobot, changed the hit effect during a mid-air hit from spinning knockdown to sliding knockdown. Increased combo count upper limit. Not sure what that means.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
But not my problem.
Not my problem. That's for you, DJ players.
I'm not getting hit by it. I promise you that.
Rashid, everyone's talking about Rashid. We got a couple of adjustments here. Backdash, fix an issue that caused the collision push box to be smaller than the standing one from frame 1 to frames 15 of the technique.
That's interesting. So I think that means he had like unintended invincibility.
Crouching Light Punch added a hurt box that only responds to mid-air attacks to the head from frame 1 to frame 7 of the technique. Wow.
Added a hurt box to it. So I think that means he can't low profile with crouch jab. That's what that sounds like.
Okay. And then Nail Assault. Oh, this is a modern control thing.
Yeah, I've literally never touched modern controls, like not even just to see what it's like.
So I did like a month ago because I forget what term was going on. But there was a lot of Ed talk.
Yep.
And I'm like, man, let me try some more Ed. And I'm like, this just sucks. I can't stand how this feels. So I said, the move must be modern Ed.
Oh, like classic Ed's not feeling good. Let me switch to modern.
Switch to modern Ed. Maybe it'll hold my hand a little bit, and some of the things that feel so awkward and wrong with the character could kind of make up for it. And it's like a counter pick opportunity maybe. And even then I was like, so now I got to learn a whole new control scheme and a character. So it lasted minutes, and I was like, I'm good. I think I'm all set.
Yeah, I think certain characters in this game are better suited for modern controls, and some of them being like Zangief and Luke and whatnot. And I don't necessarily think Ed is one of them, even though it's interesting because he was kind of like modern control in Street Fighter V, but I think he's just a different character now.
The Crayon Eater, as you affectionately called him. I love that. It makes me laugh every time. This is assisted combo. Yeah, Manon got nothing basically, and in your boy E Honda, look at this is not much at all. Fix the pushback on hit of the headbutt. And the attack hitbox during the slapping portions so that they are less likely to whiff midway through the attack. Okay. Increase the knockdown time of the headbutt, but tweaked so that E Honda cannot be counterattacked when the rest of the attack doesn't hit. Yeah, this is nothing.
Yeah, that's like a... It says it's an adjustment, but it's essentially a bug fix.
Yeah. Jury, nothing. And then, we talked about JP. JP kind of got hooked up a little bit, right?
Yeah, which, again, was surprising because I think JP was, like, way too strong in Season 1. And I feel like in Season 2, they brought him right to, like, mid-tier. Like, there's nothing wrong with this character. I don't think he needs any big buffs or nerfs at all. He's kind of fine where he is. And so if they were going to give him stuff, I thought it might be like a even distribution of nerfs and buffs, or just like very, very minor buffs. And at least from what I saw, it seemed like a slew of buffs.
So go ahead. I'll leave this for your turn here.
Sure. So stand medium kick, change the on hit. Advantage on hit change from +1 to +3 frames. And I'm assuming on counter hit and punish counter that gives him new combo routes. Crouching heavy punch added anti-air invincibility to the arm hurt box from the attack's second active frame until the end of the attack's active frames. I think this might be reverting back to what it was season 1.
I think so, and if not 100%, very close, right?
Like, yeah, it's very similar, and I'm interested because until they talked about removing the anti-air invincibility, a lot of us didn't realize it had it.
That's true.
And so now I'm wondering like which crouch heavy punch have it and which ones don't, because I'm willing to bet you Giles does not have it. Not saying he needs it, but it's often that Giles crouch heavy punch trades.
Yes. And it makes that button feel useless for me.
Yeah, I think with Guile, you have to press it very, very early, or you stand medium kick, or jump back jab when you want flash kick ready. Bellina, which is forward heavy kick, increase the combo count upper limit of the first attack, reduce the combo count additional value of the first attack. I don't know what that means.
This is, I think, forward heavy kick is overhead.
It might be.
Yeah, I think forward heavy kick is his overhead. And then Triglov, whatever that is.
Oh, so down punch. Is that his spike?
Oh, one of his spikes, I think. Yeah.
Reduce the blowback time on a standing hit by 1 frame. Extended the knockdown time on a standing hit by 1 frame. So is that like a nerf and a buff?
It's a burf.
That's what it sounds like, at least from, reading it quickly and not ever playing the character.
Because now it's so reduced, so he'll be more on top of them, and he'll have 1 more frame for a setup.
I'm trying to think, because reducing the block back time means he doesn't have as much time to get there. Oh, so
that's only by 1.
So this is what I'm trying to understand. So there's blowback time and knockdown time. And so I think it depends on if you get hit and pushed back or if you get hit and knocked down.
Okay.
Which, yeah, I don't understand that too much. But, yeah, so it seems like it's a very, very slight nerf on the blowback time and a very, very slight buff on the knockdown time. But 1 frame, like, how could that really change too much?
Yeah.
Strybog, which is Hadoken input, expanded the hitbox for the second attack only for when the first attack hits.
So that's the ghosts, right? Isn't that the ghosts that come out?
Is it, or is that the spinny attack? I think it's the spinny attack.
Oh, okay. All right. You might be right.
Because, yeah, I think it's making it so when the first hit hits, the second hit is more likely to combo.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay.
Torbaland, which is quarter circle forward kick. I think this might be Ghost.
Okay.
Removed a projectile collision hitbox that remained after the attack's active frames. But it's projectile collision hitbox. I think that means if he does a ghost and it whiffs, and you already have a fireball on the screen, and the fireball is supposed to get past the ghost, I think it previously would clash, even though the active frames were over, and now the fireball passes right through.
Okay.
Embrace, which is Tatsu input, changed immediate scaling from 25% to 10%. I'm not sure what that move is, but it's a buff.
Change immediate scaling. Is that? I feel like that's. Is that the portal? Is it the snap?
It might be.
Maybe. Yeah. We're not JP mains around here.
I don't know how to. I don't know how to do a Tatsu with JP.
I don't know how to JP. Period.
I don't know the names of the moves.
It's and I hate when you go to load up anything and it wants to give you the move names because no one. Outside of like the standard names, like that's a DP, but like DP is technically like OD flash kick, right? Wake up DP, but other than that, no, I don't know the names of these moves.
Especially when they give like a unique name to like a target combo, I'm like, I have no idea what that is.
Yeah.
Like even like a simple one with guy like burn straight. It's like I don't know what burn straight is.
Yeah. Just call it what it is, damn it. That's how I know it.
Cheap.
So all in all, I think this was a pretty good patch. I think there's a lot of people that should be happy. You got your first guest character, an amazing guest character, A lot of quality of life changes. I think more or less on the up for when it comes to balance patch, and then all the other stuff with the V Rival, the Sim. I think we're looking good in Street Fighter 6, and we're a year and a half in.
Yeah, and I like from this, Terra's release and this patch, I don't think there's anything necessarily to be upset about. I think everyone was just really hungry for more. And so, like I said, there's nothing wrong with this. I think everyone just can't wait to get more characters, more balance patches, more changes. I think we're just really itching to, work our way through the lifespan of this game. And like with Street Fighter V, it came out in awful shape, and by Season 3, Season 4, Season 5, it got so much better. Mm-hmm. And Street Fighter 6 came out in a great place, and so now that we're halfway through Season 2, and we're this is so much better than it was, but we also see the potential and how much better it could be. Mm-hmm. I think we're just really itching for what's this game going to be like in the middle of Season 3 or the middle of Season 4 when we have 5-6 more characters than we already have, and the meta's been shooken up once or twice. Yeah, I think everyone's just, hungry for more.
Everyone's just excited, right? Yeah. It's all on excitement. If this Christmas was this good, what's next Christmas going to be like, right? It's kind of like that.
It's funny that you say that because I was thinking of that analogy. It's like when you got, a bunch of great things for Christmas, but you didn't get the one thing you wanted.
Yeah.
It's like you can't be upset. It's Christmas.
It was an overall good update, but the balancing that was weird worries me. Okay. I mean, I think... never be too proud to admit when you're wrong is a thing. And I think that's kind of what they were showing there. Like, hey, look, we saw this one way, we made a decision, and now that we've been kind of watching it and seeing how that's played out, because we saw that chart of how many matchups they're actually analyzing, you know what, now this data kind of doesn't hold up. Or maybe now we're seeing players do something different with how we intended this to be is also another thing.
Yeah, the other thing I always have to keep my mind on is maybe even though the majority of the FGC and the stronger players all agree on something, it doesn't necessarily mean it's right. And if Capcom's looking at this data and saying we're watching Ken and his usage of crouch medium kick is no better than Ryu and Akuma and Luke's, even though it might feel bad, or when you look at the frame data, why is his 7 frames and everybody else's 8? But if they're looking at the data and saying he's not actually getting the reward that you think he's getting off this, there's no reason to touch this. Now it's more of an ego thing of being we all agreed that, this thing should be adjusted and you guys didn't do it. Why aren't you listening to us? But they could actually know better and say, no, we've analyzed the data and found, of all of Ken's tools, the crouch medium kick is not the problem.
And I say this with almost every single update, but never in Guilty Gear. That I feel I wouldn't know the first thing about where to go with some of these things, so it just it kind of doesn't make sense, and it always reminds me of there's times where Guilty Gear would come out with something, you're like, what were they thinking? Are they playing the same game? And then you look at, I don't know if you ever watched the Killer Instinct documentary.
I think if it's the one I was thinking of, I think I watched it a long time ago, and it had a lot to do with the rollback netcode.
Yeah, and they talk about that a lot, but there was a talk about people hating on Jago. And I might have even brought this up in another episode before. They hated Jago's health recovery. Mm-hmm. And they were like, no, this is wrong. This needs to change, blah, blah, blah. And then they came out with a patch, and they said, here are Jago's adjustments. And then instantly they were like, no, you guys made a mistake. This is not what we asked for. But then within that month, the complaints about the character actually, diminished. Yep. So they said, what he said was, we attacked the disease and not the symptoms. We went after, he was really good on screen everywhere. He could do a lot of things. So yeah, his healing was a thing, but he's also eating everywhere else he is on screen. So that was the problem that they attacked rather than that other benefit. So
right. Once they took away all these issues, then the healing is not the problem anymore.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think that's where we're at with Street Fighter 6. I know I'm excited for more content. I know you're excited for more content, even though you don't need any more characters.
Luke's the one.
Luke's the one. That's it. Did you know Guile was going to be the one right away? And because he wasn't released right away, right? He was Season 1 DLC?
Yeah, so he was Season 1 DLC. I think he was the second character right after Alex. I think it was Alex, then Guile.
Okay, yeah.
And but before, because I can't remember if Capcom released it or if it got leaked, but we knew what the Season 1 characters were going to be.
Yeah.
And so, even before Street Fighter V released, I knew Guile was going to be Season 1 DLC. And I was like, okay, I'm going to pick Chun-Li at the very beginning of Season 1, not because I like Chun-Li, but because she's the closest mechanically to what Guile is. And as soon as Guile comes in, I'm a Guile main.
Wow.
So yeah, I already had it pre-decided.
How was your time with Chun-Li? What does a Chun-Li, Ricky, Ice Beam time period look like? Not good?
It was not good. Again, it was in the period where I really wasn't good at the game to begin with. So I was like just learning how the game functions. And, you know, Chun-Li is really not my style, and she didn't really suit me or help me in any way. So it was really just like it was an awkward period where I was using a character that I really should not have been using, and then Guile finally came out. And even when I think back on it, like I would have been much better off playing like Ryu or Ken until
which is what I thought you were gonna say, and then I was like, ooh, or did he go Nash? He's like, I can do the inputs, the motion inputs. I'll do something that's close enough with that gameplay. So that never interested you either.
It should have, but it didn't. And looking back on it, there's so many characters I could have played. I could have played Nikali season 1. Like there was no reason not to, right? Like, wow. But yeah, I made the decision that I think was a mistake in hindsight to hang on with Chun-Li until Guile came out. And if anyone fought me at the end of Street Fighter V, I like randomly would pull out Chun-Li and they're like, how do you know all these combos?
All right, wow. And I've never seen that, so I would have loved to have seen that. I want to know what that's like. I would think like this ain't really him. Someone else is playing. There's no way he's got a Chun-Li on top of all that. All right, guys. Well, that's going to wrap it up for this episode of the Safe Sets Podcast. We hope you have enjoyed all of our topics here tonight. If you did, please hit the like button. Help us out with that. If you have anything to say about what we've talked about with, Terry, how you feeling about him? The balance patch, the state of Street Fighter 6 as it stands right now, leave it down in the comment section below. If you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel. And if you want to stay on top of getting that content right when it's hot, fresh, hit the bell notification so you can get notified every time we go live or post a new video. We are working on several different review videos, so those are all coming up on the way. So I do appreciate you guys' patience and keep an eye out on that. I've been Shadow Fury. He's been a Luke player this entire time, and he didn't even know it. He's Ricky Icebeam. Catch us on social media, Twitters. We had that and we'll run it here at the end. Yeah, keep pressing them buttons, folks, and we'll catch you on the next one. No, I said it wrong, right? It's keep pressing them buttons and
stay safe.
Good night.
Yeah, let's run those.
Where is it? No.